I don't usually share personal stories like this online, but what happened to me still messes with my head months later. I need to get it all out there, write it down so I never forget the kind of people I was dealing with and what I allowed to happen to me for years without fighting back. My name's Greg, I'm 40-2, and I live just outside Dayton, Ohio. I was married for 12 years to a woman named Monica, and we have two kids together, Nathan and Lily. They're my absolute world. I work as a warehouse manager, nothing glamorous, but it pays decent and it's stable work. Monica worked in sales for some big medical company, always traveling, always on conference calls, always too busy for anything that really mattered. I thought we had a decent life together. Not perfect, sure, but decent enough. Turns out I was dead wrong about pretty much everything. Monica's parents, Tom and Diane, are what you call old Cincinnati money. The kind of people who wear country club jackets unironically and call any beer that costs less than $15 domestic swill. From the very first time I met them, they made it crystal clear that I wasn't good enough for their daughter. I didn't go to the right schools, didn't have the right kind of career, didn't fit into their perfect little world. I stayed polite and respectful anyway, thinking maybe they'd warm up to me eventually. Monica would always tell me not to take it personally. They're just particular, she'd say with a shrug. They mean well deep down. Yeah, okay. Sure they did. Still, I tried. For 12 long years, I sucked it up at every single family gathering. I smiled through their backhanded comments about my job, let Tom make his snide little jokes about manual labor, let Diane look at me like I'd track mud through her pristine house just by existing in the same room as her. I kept thinking that maybe, just maybe, one day they'd see that I was a good husband and father, that I worked hard, took care of their daughter, loved their grandkids more than life itself. They never did. A few months ago, Monica tells me that her parents' 40th wedding anniversary is coming up. She says we need to do something really special for them. They've always supported us, she said, which was rich considering they'd never supported me a single day in my life. We should really make this count. She had big ideas right off the bat, fancy dinner at some exclusive restaurant, rain hall, maybe a catered event with all their country club friends. I suggested we make it more personal instead, something that would actually mean something to them. She just shrugged and told me to do whatever I thought was best. So I did exactly that. I spent weeks planning the perfect gift. I went through dusty old family albums, carefully scanned hundreds of photos, spanning their entire 40-year marriage. Pictures from their wedding day, family vacations, every holiday celebration, birthday parties, graduations, I found it all. Then I spent hours and hours editing everything into a beautiful video montage set to their wedding song, which took me forever to track down. I asked Nathan and Lily to write heartfelt letters to their grandparents. I helped them with the spelling but kept their words sweet and honest, exactly how kids that age express love. I printed everything on nice parchment paper, had the best photos professionally framed, and bound the rest into a custom leather photo book. I even got a beautiful wooden frame made for the centerpiece photo and wrapped everything clean and classy. Monica barely helped with any of it. She was always too swamped with work calls or client meetings. But I didn't care. I wanted to do this right, to show them that despite everything, I respected their marriage and their place in our family. The dinner was set for this expensive steakhouse in downtown Cincinnati, the kind of place where they actually wipe the crumbs off your table between courses. Tom and Diane showed up dressed like they were meeting royalty. Monica looked stunning in this green dress I hadn't seen her wear in years. I'd even gotten a fresh haircut, shaved carefully, and wore the blazer Monica always said I never used enough. We sat down, ordered drinks, made small talk about the weather and the restaurant's reputation. Then I handed them the elegant gift bag and explained what was inside. I compiled memories from your entire life together, I told them, my voice full of genuine warmth. Photos, videos, letters from the kids. There's a USB stick with the video montage. You can watch it whenever you want to remember all the beautiful moments you've shared. I'll never forget the way Tom opened that bag, like he was expecting some cheap sweater from Walmart. He pulled everything out slowly, methodically. Diane looked confused at first, then just blank, completely emotional as is. I put together decades of your memories, I said again, trying to fill the awkward silence. The kids spent hours writing those letters. The video has your wedding song and everything. More silence. Tom grunted something that might have been acknowledgement. Diane muttered, well, that's thoughtful in the most flat, disinterested tone I'd ever heard. That was it. No genuine emotion, no heartfelt thanks, no smile, no warmth. Nothing. like I'd handed them a grocery store flyer instead of weeks of careful, loving work. Then Tom reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a plain white envelope. "We got you something too," he said, handing it across the table like he was doing me some kind of favor. I opened it with curiosity, maybe even excitement. Inside was a coupon for a haircut. A freaking coupon from some chain salon. And handwritten across the top in Tom's careful script, "So you look presentable next time." I stared at that piece of paper, feeling something cold and sharp twist in my chest. I'd spent weeks pouring my heart into honoring their marriage, staying up late, getting our children involved, trying to give them something real and meaningful. And they handed me a goddamn coupon like I was some kind of joke they were tired of pretending to tolerate. But here's the part that really broke something inside me. Monica laughed. Not an awkward, uncomfortable laugh, a real, genuine laugh, like it was the funniest thing she'd heard all week. "They're just teasing, babe," she said, patting my arm like I was some clueless kid who didn't understand grown-up humor. "You know how they are." I sat there completely frozen while my wife laughed along with her parents at my expense. She didn't defend me, didn't call it rude or inappropriate, didn't even look uncomfortable. She just laughed with them, like I deserved to be mocked for caring too much. That moment changed everything for me. Something fundamental broke inside my chest, and I knew with absolute clarity that I was done. Done begging for their respect, done pretending this was a family worth fighting for, done protecting people who saw me as nothing more than an easy target. I didn't say anything that night. I just drove us home in complete silence while Monica scrolled through her phone, humming to herself like nothing had happened. When she finally noticed my mood, she said, "You're being weird." It was just a joke. But it wasn't just a joke to me. It was the final, crystal minus clear reminder of everything I've been ignoring for 12 long years. The constant disrespect, the little cuts, the way I was never quite good enough for her or her family, and most importantly, the way she consistently chose them over me. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while Monica slept with her back turned to me, and I made a decision that would change everything. I wasn't going to beg for their respect anymore. I was going to take my dignity back, one quiet, strategic step at a time. After that night, things began to change slowly but deliberately. I didn't make any big speeches or dramatic gestures, that's not who I am. But I stopped reaching out to Monica's family, stopped trying to win them over, stopped volunteering for every little favor they needed. If they wanted something from me, they could ask directly, and even then, I didn't rush to accommodate them. I still took care of my responsibilities, made sure the kids were happy and healthy, kept the house running smoothly, but I was no longer the garrison minus please yes minus man they'd grown accustomed to. Monica noticed the shift pretty quickly. "You're being distant," she said one night while brushing her hair in our bedroom mirror. I just shrugged and told her I was tired from work. She stared at me through the reflection, but didn't push the issue, which was fine by me. I wasn't ready to have that conversation yet. Instead, I got busy behind the scenes, making moves she couldn't see. First, I opened a new checking account at a local credit union, completely separate from our joint finances. I set up an automatic payroll, split so 20% of every paycheck went directly into my private account. Clean, quiet, and completely legal. I also reached out to an old friend from high school, Aaron, who'd become a divorce attorney up in Columbus. I told him I had some questions about hypothetical situations. We met for coffee the following week, and after I explained the haircut coupon incident and the general tone Monica had taken toward me over the years, he was blunt. "Doesn't sound like love, Greg," he said, stirring his coffee thoughtfully. "Sounds like they're grooming you to be unpaid help while they live their lives however they want." That hit me harder than I expected. Aaron gave me practical advice: document everything, keep detailed records of her behavior, track her travel schedule, note every time I handled parenting duties alone, every medical appointment she missed, every school event she skipped for work. So that's exactly what I started doing. Then came the twist that changed everything. About 2 months later, Monica was in Atlanta for another work conference. She'd left early Friday morning and wasn't supposed to return until Sunday night, leaving me with the kids for the entire weekend. We spent Saturday at my sister's house, and while we were there, Lily wanted to use her mom's iPad to draw some pictures. I said sure and grabbed it from Monica's nightstand drawer. No passcode, nothing suspicious about it. I honestly don't know what made me look through her messages. I wasn't even particularly suspicious at that point. Maybe something deep in my gut just needed to know the truth. And there it was. A long message thread with someone named Brent. Flirty texts going back months, maybe longer. Photos of them at rooftop bars in different cities. intimate selfies, messages that made my stomach turn. There was even a picture of her in bed, hair messy, with the caption, "Missing your arms tonight." This wasn't just physical cheating, it was emotional, deep, personal. They talked about everything, their days, their feelings, their plans. And then I saw my own name mentioned in their conversations. Monica had written, "Greg's sweet, but he's so boring. It's like living with oatmeal." Brent replied, "LOL, I can't believe you've lasted this long." And Monica's response, "Guilt mostly." And the kids? He'd fall apart without them. I sat there in my sister's living room, holding that iPad while my daughter hummed to herself on the floor, and I felt something inside me go completely cold. Not angry, not hurt, just cold and perfectly clear about what I needed to do. I took screenshots of everything, uploaded them to a secure cloud folder, and sent copies to my personal mail account. Then I carefully deleted the message thread from her iPad and put it back exactly where I'd found it. Monica never knew I'd seen any of it. That night, I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I called Darren and arranged another meeting. When I showed him the screenshots, he looked through them carefully and nodded. "You've got solid grounds here," he said. "And you're staying calm, which is good. Let's start building your case properly." From that point forward, I documented everything with the precision of a detective. Every time Monica left town, I tracked it. Every time she ignored the kids or came home drunk from client dinners, I made notes. When Nathan had a bad cold and I stayed up with him all night while she put in headphones and watched Netflix, I noted the date and time. When Lily scraped her knee at the playground and Monica said she'll live without even looking up from her phone, I wrote it down. I started recording our conversations to completely legal in Ohio as long as one party knows about it. And I definitely knew. Then Monica slipped up again in the most perfectly predictable way. We were at her parents' house for some small family brunch celebrating a cousin's engagement. Everyone was sipping champagne and eating overpriced pastries when Tom looked directly at me and said, "Still at the warehouse, Greg. When are you going to get a real job?" It wasn't even disguised as a joke this time, just straight venom. Monica laughed and said, "You know how he is, Dad. Loyal to a fault." Then Diane chimed in with, "Greg's steady, though. It's endearing in its own way." I sat there staring at my coffee, smiling politely on the outside while inside, it's absolutely boiling. But they had no idea what was coming. None of them did. And I wasn't about to warn them. The day I finally executed my plan started like any other Thursday. Monica had left for another conference, this time in Chicago. I kissed the kids goodbye before school, packed their lunches, and then sat in my truck in the driveway for 10 solid minutes, just breathing deeply and preparing myself. Everything was ready. Aaron had all the divorce papers prepared, custody documentation filed, financial records organized. We had screenshots, voice recordings, detailed logs of her behavior, a complete folder of evidence that Monica thought I'd never be smart enough to collect. That same morning, I got an unexpected call from Monica's brother Dan, who lives out in Seattle. We maybe talked once a year, usually around Christmas, so I almost didn't answer. "Greg," he said, his voice unusually serious, "I wasn't sure if I should call you, but I saw some stuff online about Monica and some guy named Brent." Apparently, Dan had been scrolling through Facebook when he saw a photo from some corporate event. Monica was dressed up with Brent's arm around her waist, both of them smiling like they were on a date. But the caption wasn't from Monica, it was from Brent's wife. "My husband's business trip looks a lot like a date with someone else's wife. Monica, you're not even subtle anymore." There were dozens of angry comments, including several from people who said Monica had been pulling this kind of thing since college. It was completely public, a total social media meltdown that Monica had walked right into. I didn't tell them that I already knew about the affair. I just thanked him for calling and hung up, staring out my window while everything clicked into place. Monica wasn't just cheating, she was reckless and sloppy, thinking she wasn't untouchable because she'd never faced real consequences before. That night, after I tucked Nathan and Lily into bed, I spent hours preparing the house. I wasn't planning to move out, she was. I printed copies of all the court documents, organized everything in a lockbox in my closet, and included a printed copy of her text calling me oatmeal. I wanted her to see it, to feel exactly what I felt when I first read those words. Then I called her hotel room in Chicago. She answered on the second ring, clearly groggy from sleep. "Greg," she mumbled. "Is everything okay? What time is it?" "Yeah, everything's fine," I said in the flattest tone I could manage. "Just wondering, is Brent with you right now? Or does he have his own room?" The silence that followed lasted forever. Then I heard a click. She'd hung up on me without even trying to deny it. The next day passed without a single word from her. No texts, no calls, nothing. Radio silence, which told me everything I needed to know about her guilt and panic. Monica came home late Sunday night to find me sitting calmly in the living room, watching television. The kids were asleep upstairs, the house was spotless, and everything was in perfect order except for her luggage, which I'd left sitting by the front door. She walked in, saw me sitting there, and froze. "What's all this?" she asked, gesturing toward her bags with confusion. "You're not staying here tonight," I said, matter minus of minus factly. "Or any other night." She actually laughed that same dismissive laugh I'd heard at the anniversary dinner. "You're serious about this?" I nodded and handed her the manila envelope containing everything: the divorce papers, custody filing, printed screenshots of her text with Brent, hotel records, and that Facebook photo with his wife's furious caption. I watched her face change as she flipped through each page. First confusion, then recognition, then complete shock when she saw her own words calling me oatmeal printed in black and white. When she got to the custody documents requesting full physical custody for me, her composure finally cracked. "You son of a bitch," she snapped. "You're really doing this to me?" "I've already done it," I replied calmly. She called me pathetic, accused me of trying to ruin her life out of spite, claimed the kids would resent me for breaking up their family. She said I was nothing without her, that I'd never survive on my own. I didn't argue or defend myself. I just stood there quietly while she screamed in rage, then told her she could stay with her parents or with Brent. I didn't particularly care which. When she finally grabbed her bags and stormed out, slamming the door behind her, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: pure, complete relief. 2 weeks later, Tom and Diane showed up at my house unannounced. Diane looked like she'd been crying for days, and Tom looked furious enough to start throwing punches. "Can we talk?" Diane asked, her voice sharp with barely controlled anger. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me, not inviting them in. Tom started attacking me immediately. "You didn't have to drag the kids into this mess. This could have been handled privately, like adults." "She's the one who made it public," I replied evenly. "I just responded to what she'd already done." "You humiliated our entire family," Diane added, her voice shaking. "This whole Brent situation is all over town now. Monica's job is at risk because of your vindictive behavior." I looked at both of them carefully and said, "You raised her. Don't come to my house blaming me because she finally got caught doing what you taught her was acceptable." Tom stepped forward like he wanted to fight me physically. I didn't flinch or back down. "If you try anything," I said quietly, "I'll file a restraining order. And I'll make sure every judge in Ohio sees that haircut coupon you gave me, along with a full explanation of what kind of people you really are." That stopped him cold. They left without another word. Later that night, I sat on my back porch with a cold beer, listening to the quiet house. The kids were sleeping peacefully upstairs, and for the first time in years, I felt genuine peace settling into my bones. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of legal battles and desperate attempts by Monica to salvage her reputation. First, she tried begging. Late-night texts about missing her family, selfies of her crying, claims that she was in therapy and wanted to heal our relationship. I didn't respond to any of it. Then she got angry and started telling people I was controlling and manipulative, that I was cutting her off from her own children and turning them against her. She even showed up at my workplace one day trying to create a scene in the parking lot. I called the police and she left before they arrived. The legal battle was where her expensive Cincinnati lawyer really thought he could destroy me. They painted me as emotionally cold and calculating, claimed I'd planned everything in secret to make Monica look bad, and demanded 50-50 custody plus significant alimony. What they didn't know was that I had documented everything. Every school event I'd attended alone, every medical appointment I'd handled, every recital or game on Monica's end. Every screenshot, every voice recording, every detail of her neglect and infidelity. Brent's wife even agreed to provide a sworn statement about the affair, confirming that Monica had known Brent was married and had pursued him anyway, destroying another family in the process. The judge reviewed everything quietly and thoroughly. The final hearing took place on a Monday morning at the Montgomery County Courthouse. Monica sat across from me in a perfectly tailored gray suit, all polished up and fake minus smiling like she hadn't systematically destroyed our family. Her parents sat behind her, stone minus faced. Tom wouldn't even look in my direction. When the judge asked Monica to explain her numerous weekend trips during important school events, she claimed she was working hard to provide for our family. When he asked me the same question, I simply opened my organized binder and let the evidence speak for itself. Photos, emails, texts, dates, detailed documentation of who had actually been present for our children. The courtroom got uncomfortably quiet after that. Then the judge leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. It seems very clear to me who's been the present parent and who hasn't. His ruling was swift and decisive. Full physical custody to me, with Monica getting supervised visits twice a month. No alimony. And since she'd spent marital funds on her affair, flights, hotels, gifts for Brent, the judge ordered her to pay me $18,000 in restitution. I hadn't even asked for that last part, but I accepted it gratefully. Monica's jaw dropped. She whispered something frantic to her lawyer, and he looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Monica had to move back in with her parents, and that's when karma really started to kick in hard. Brent got fired after the Facebook blow might up went viral at his company. His wife took the kids, the house, and half his pension in their divorce. Monica lost her biggest client, who was quietly asked to resign from her medical sales company. Diane tried calling in favors to get Monica another position, but nobody wanted to hire a woman known for seducing married co-workers and getting publicly blasted on social media. Tom blamed me for everything, of course, telling anyone who would listen that I'd set his daughter up. But people started asking uncomfortable questions about why they'd raised a daughter who would cheat and lie so casually. They stopped hosting their famous family dinners, stopped sending their elaborate Christmas cards to half the neighborhood. Tom eventually had a health scare, a mild stroke, and I didn't visit him in the hospital. Monica didn't even tell Nathan and Lily about their grandfather's condition. When I found out through Dan and asked her about it, she said Tom wouldn't want their pity. A few months later, I heard through the grapevine that Monica had started working at a small insurance agency, commission minus only work that paid a fraction of her previous salary. She called me one day out of nowhere, asking if she could take the kids to the zoo on her scheduled weekend. I said no. Why not? Because last time you had them, Lily told me you spent the entire afternoon texting someone named Rob while sitting in the parking lot instead of actually spending time with her and Nathan. Monica was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You won't let me move on with my life." "You moved on a long time ago," I replied. "I'm just finally catching up." One day while cleaning out old boxes, Nathan and Lily found that haircut coupon tucked away in some papers. Nathan read it out loud and asked, "Daddy, why did they give you this?" I smiled, took the coupon from his hands and said, "To remind me of who I never want to be around again." Then I tossed it into our fireplace and we all watched it burn together. These days, I've rebuilt my life completely. The kids are thriving. Nathan's playing Little League Baseball and Lily just started taking dance classes. I'm there for every single game, every practice, every recital. We laugh together constantly now, real genuine laughter that fills our house with joy. I've even started dating again. Her name's Denise, she's an elementary school teacher, and she's sweet and kind in ways I've forgotten were possible. The kids absolutely love her, and she treats them like they're the most important people in the world. I'm not perfect. I stayed way too long in a broken marriage, let myself be mocked and dismissed for years when I should have walked away much sooner. But when I finally did leave, I did it clean and quiet and total. I let them destroy themselves with their own choices while I focused on protecting what actually mattered. All I had to do was finally stop protecting people who had never cared about protecting me. And in the end, they gave me the best gift they possibly could have, a clear path away from their toxicity and toward genuine peace and happiness. All because of a damn haircut coupon.